what happened yesterday? You may just let us know.
So you want me to start now and go through? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I want to make it very clear that before I go through the current results, I want to make it very clear that Vero Voting is an independent provider. Okay, we have no knowledge of any candidates. We have done many NRNA elections. We have done many things for your organization. And I want to make it very clear that we have not or partake or engage with any of your candidates for any reason or purpose. Okay, so we're completely independent. We're independent from ICC. We've run many successful elections, and including this one. This one is a successful election. So I want to make it very clear that the team has worked very hard, including the Election Commission, very hard to make sure this is as fair election as possible, including facial recognition, IP, tracking and location. The report issue is a report issue. That is purely what it was. We had a complex situation where we had two locations. We had one location in person and one globally, where we were trying, with the Election Commission's assistance, making sure everyone was authorized to vote with facial recognition. The candidate list was provided to us in a special format. That special format is designed to ensure that I can import all the names correctly into the system. Now, unfortunately, there were some spelling errors on that. And as we were testing prior to going live, we had to correct them. And one of them in particular was this candidate that is in question for Dr. Keshab Paudel. So in this case, all it was when we were merging the results together, and we do it as automatic as possible, when we were automatically generating this results, and this is a custom report. This report is customized and specific to NRNA, where we pull the data directly out of the database. In this case, because the name Dr. Keshab Paudel was given to us incorrectly to begin with, we manually corrected it prior to going live. The reporting caused an error when we generated it. Now, normally we spend probably up to 6 to 12 hours auditing results. We make sure everything is correct, and we give it to the Election Commission, and they spend time auditing and verifying it. So there's a few mistakes along the line here, but this is purely a mistake in the report. The data and the new declaration that we generated this morning is being audited and checked against the live data and is now correct. What that means is the zero, and you can obviously see that the zero is an error, because again, why would nobody vote? There was always votes collected, and that particular issue was just a display issue on the report, which then tallied up incorrectly. So it's very unfortunate. It was an error. We're going to make sure that there's procedures in place, including making sure that the candidate lists are correct. It's a very complex situation with a lot of complex moving parts in a very short space of time. But however, the election and the declaration is a success. This was a very well run from the Election Commission. There was just a few reporting errors, which is now being corrected through an auditing process, which is perfectly normal in an election, and then we report the correct result. So we want to make it clear that there was no collusion, there was no deliberate error. This was just something that we wanted to clarify. However, that has all now been corrected, and the true declaration should now be available, if it's not already, shortly after this meeting. I'll hand you back to the Election Commissioner. I don't think there's any comments. That's just a statement. I'll hand you back to the Commissioner.
Hi, Greg. Thank you for the clarity. We here, like Keshab said, the Commissioner said, we are a room full of people, all very responsible for this organization, have worked 20 odd years for this organization, patrons, past presidents, presidents, and the upcoming presidents, the candidates as well. So, and there are in the big hall, a lot of people listening and viewing this. Just for the clarity, one of the president's candidates' question, Rajendra Kumar, his question is, in what situation a person, I mean, someone else, let's say there are two people with the same name, and then how can a wrong person go and vote in the name of the other person? I know that there were 2 or 3 instances and they've been rectified. The commission has got evidence, log and everything, that locally that answer been given, but just from your perspective, just the scenarios, if you can clarify for him.
As far as I understand, that happened twice. I don't know. I think you just mentioned 3 times. I know it happened twice.
Twice, yeah.
Twice. What happened is, as they walked into the room, they were verified with ID, as in physical ID. They were checked off a list, and that list had their login credentials, which was on a physical paper list. So I believe it was an error giving them the wrong credentials when they checked them off of a piece of paper. So that was probably an error. Again, that's not a Vero error. Now, what was good was that the system actually failed them. They actually effectively rejected them through their facial recognition. They couldn't pass. But then the second mistake was when they went to the support. There's a support tool that can verify them facially. And then basically they got checked in a certain way. So the system did pick it up. We did rectify it. It's not a rampant tool. They are, it goes through a process, and that's how we were able to detect that's an issue, because we could detect that their facials were failing for a certain time, but it was purely just a checklist of the credentials as they walk through the door. There was no instances in the online world that happened when in the global organization that actually happened. So it was only a physical as they walk through the door and the credentials were checked, as far as I understand it.
Thank you. And those 2, they've been voided and cancelled, right?
Correct. Those 2 votes in particular were audited. We checked them. We then made sure that they were definitely invalid, and then we removed them, and therefore they were invalidated.
So one more question. Thank you, Greg. One more question from Rajendra Kumar is, how many would have been skipped? I mean, the face matching issue, and then manually photo ID 100% verification and been let to vote. Would there be a record at your end? We do have physical record on site at your end as well, yeah?
Yes, we do. We have a physical record. So the process is, if the facial recognition fails, particularly for online as well as in person. So there was 2 rooms. You've got a picture that there was online. They would connect up on Zoom, and in the room, they would connect up personally, going to a support desk. The support desk would verify their ID and their face in person by looking at them on Zoom like this, or physically in the room. They then would toggle them off, And for 5 minutes, they have the ability to vote without facial ID. And we track that information for usage. Out of 4,000 people, there was, I think, roughly about 100 verifications. But it goes through a process. You can't just toggle. They have to try facial recognition. And there's a number of reasons why facial recognition fails, because of the base photo, based on the lighting, the camera that you're using. And the original photo is terrible. So there's a number of reasons why, but the technology works extremely well. So there has to be a process. You can't toggle that switch without that verification.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Okay, so another question from Rajendra Kumar is, he wants to know the vote spread. They are yet to be given the full report, physical report, because we wanted to have this meeting first and the clarity on that. So he wants to know how many votes would have been casted for presidential candidates and how many for vice presidents. He wants to hear first and from you, would there be a record of that?
The number of votes, yes, absolutely. So we have the complete tally of all the votes and the counts and the number of votes in the election. So we have, and the report that we've got is the complete tally of votes. So it is, and we've also broken it down by region. So we know why, and that's also another thing with this error on the reporting. If the original report, the tally of regions was actually correct. Yeah, which highlighted that 0 was a complete error on the reporting perspective. So we have a complete tally of total. So when you get the full report, you'll be able to see the number of votes cast. But we also need to understand that every time that you do a question, so if I did the president question and I vote for the president, and then I submit that, that's like putting the president paper, voting for the president in the ballot box, and then I can move on to the next questions. So if I don't vote for anything else, my vote is still valid for the president. So sometimes I only want to vote for the first 4 or 5, and that's perfectly valid. And so the vote count will go down as you progress through the voting. The number of people who participated will go down as you go through the questions, but the voting is still valid. It's just each question is an election in its own right.
Thank you. And he just wants to add a question on that. The total per position votes casted, the record would be there, of course, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a question. If somebody voted for president, goes to vice president.
It's very hard. Sorry, it's very hard to hear. You need to be close to the camera, microphone.
Hi, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so if somebody votes for president, then like you said, there is a save and move, so it goes to vice president. Right? Vice president, you have 6 candidates. So if somebody just wants to vote only 2 vice presidents, was it allowed in the system?
No, it's very strict. This election was exactly 1, or exactly 6, or exactly 3, depending on the question or the positions available. So if there are 6 vice presidents, you had to vote for 6 exactly, or you could skip the question with none of the above. So you could not vote for 3 vice presidents and go to the next question. You had to, it wouldn't let you.
I got you. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Greg. Another question is the current president, Kul Acharya, is going to ask. Hi, Greg. Hi, how are you?
Hello, good, thanks.
Yeah, we are in very difficult situation at the moment because of the voting, some error. Okay, actually, I emailed you yesterday to get the report, but I haven't get it anyway. So I don't know, might be because of the contact or what.
Yeah.
So our people want to investigation. What you can provide for the what kind of log system or what kind of
Yeah.
investigation you allowed to give them?
Yes. So people use the word, please provide me the master data. And nobody knows exactly what that means. So let me explain how an audit works. We keep for a period of time all the data of the recorded votes, the location of where those votes were recorded, and all the information we need to do an audit. But with any audit, you have to ask a specific question, or go, you need to you can't just say, give me the master data and I'll go through it. If I give you the master data, I lose control of the data. It can be manipulated. So we have to set up an environment where if you want to audit the data, that data is in a specific environment where we that we ensure that the data is basically protected. And so a question just came through to complement that, which I've only just saw a brief pop up. But let me sort of go through the process. Is that when the vote is completed, the data is, and we've got a portal called the Scrutineers portal that we can nominate certain people to review this for a period of time. And so if for example, we can nominate a few people, we can set up an environment to audit the data live on the screen where it's not downloaded to an Excel spreadsheet and then taken away. It has to be live data, looking at the live database of the records that are done. And so a question just came through that I just saw briefly, which will complement that, is where does this data come from? The data comes from obviously NRNA. It's provided to me in a secure format. And as soon as we complete this audit, is destroyed, so that once we pass this auditing phase. But ensuring that the membership records are financial, that they are valid, that the selfies are unique. We run a number of tests on them to ensure that they are a unique membership voter. And that goes through a number of checks. What do? I make sure from a declaration that the data that they're provided, the contract that we have with you, ensures that the data provided is correct. And if it's not, then I, that's something for the challenge. In terms of the records, we make sure every voter is unique, and ensure that all the selfies are that the facial recognition is for one member only and one person. There's no duplicates. So we go through an extensive process, although everything is always on a timeline. So it's important that, like I said, is if there is an audit, I'm not releasing any master data. It just has to be a specific call like this with specific people, where it's controlled, and we can go through in detail certain questions. So you have to ask a specific question. For example, I want to know, for example, the vice presidents. Yeah, so not everyone gets access to the audit. Can't just release it to everybody. So yeah. Anyway, that's the sort of
any another monitoring system for your system, if they want to, any monitoring system.
In terms of what? In terms of what monitoring?
Like, once they have a doubt. So, I think I'm not IT person, so better to, question answer with the IT person.
Yeah. So we have extensive systems. We do voting all around the world. We do voting for very, very large organizations. We do voting in different environments. So in terms of acts, we have collusion detection. We have tracking of all the data. We have firewalls. Everything you need to ensure that the data is valid and non-tampered.
Thanks, Greg. I think we have covered most of the scenarios. One more question. Okay, one of the election monitoring, the election monitor observer, Dr. Devi, is going to ask you another question.
This is a very short question. So like,
Just make sure you're sitting in front of the computer, please. Thank
okay.
you. Thank you.
I
Hi.
have very short questions. Maybe you might have answered it, but I want to make sure that I understood, we all understood well. Well, if I click the vote for president, one president, and submit and go to the next steps and go vice president or secretary, and then I don't want to go further, and then I just close it. What happened? Those selected vote will be counted, or this will be discarded from the
No, absolutely. Or every vote that you submit, because it's got a submit button on every page. So every page that you vote for is counted. So it's perfectly valid to vote for. And if I look at my ballot card for president, I fill out my ballot card, I submit my ballot card for president, that vote is counted. Basically that vote is counted. And someone's asking a question that is exactly what I've already answered. So how does someone get zero? It's a reporting error, not data. We've explained that already. So basically you can vote for 2 questions and then you can leave if you so wish. There's also none of the above, which is an abstain from answering those questions. So you can skip through to the question that you want to. So you can actually basically skip to the question that you want to answer it, and then you can log off. But every time you submit that question, it is recorded in the database.
Thank you very much. That means this kind of voting process will give you different number of president or vice president, even the total voters are the same. That's right.
Sorry, can you speak a bit closer to the computer?
Oh, sorry. So that means if the total number of voters are same, the vote obtained by the president or vice president will be different because of this kind of phenomenon. Am I right?
So if I vote for, not 100% sure of the question, but if I vote for,
let me make it clear about this. Okay, I voted for the president. I mean, I submitted the vote for the president. I went to the next, and then I log off.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a president is recorded there.
Correct.
And there is no record vote for the general secretary. So it will impact at the total vote number of votes obtained by president and general secretary. That means the total number of votes cast will be not same as for the president and the secretary due to this phenomenon. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah, and that's perfectly valid. It's perfectly valid because you could choose not to vote. If you walk into a room with a ballot card and you get a piece of paper to fill out the ballot card and then you choose not to fill out that ballot card, that vote is discarded. But the president that you filled in is counted. It's perfectly valid. Every question is a vote. But what happens is you'll see that the vote count at the president is always going to be the highest because that's the first question you're asked. But then as you go through next, the vote count goes down. It just naturally goes down the page. So it's perfectly valid for people to only vote for the president or only vote for the national or not vote for the Europe, the regional. It's completely up to the voter. They could abstain if they so wish, and that's a valid. Every election is different. In this case, we've done that for all of the NRNA elections.
Thank you very much. Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Much appreciated for the clarity. It helps a lot. And at last, so the next thing we're going to do is the stakeholders, the presidential candidates may want to nominate their IT representative. Like you said, it is not for everyone to understand the technical part of it. You have explained everything with much clarity already anyway, in layman's terms. But if there is a need, obviously it can be at cost. We will request you for session for that audit session with the representatives, and then our secretariat will liaise for the suitable time with you. We really appreciate, and on behalf of NRNA, everyone here, and everyone listening to this. I know that your nighttime, and then you have worked hard 3 hours straight, your team. Much appreciated.
No,
Thank you.
thank you. And just for the record, yeah, we have no issues, and would welcome people to, like, with this request for, you know, but it has to be a planned process. So thank you very much.
That's right. And if there are any questions, we'll channelize those questions through Secretariat in writing, and
Yeah,
they will collect
and
the
then
questions.
I can respond.
That's right.
Great.
One last question, Dr. Badri wants to ask. I'll pass it on to you. Thank you.
And, did you send the correct and final report to the election committee?
I have, yes.
Yeah. And do you guarantee that there will not be any more errors after your final report?
We have checked. We've spent time, many hours, checking and double checking that report. So yes.
So so you do guarantee that this is the final report, and did you submit it with your
Yes.
company seal?
Yeah.
And if there will be court cases, and you can face it, is it?
I've again, I'm sure that within a particular within reason, yes, we would definitely be able to challenge with the data in specific question to the report. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Greg, thank you for your response.
Thank you.
Sorry for troubling you.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. See you again.